We're good.
All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order at 6:28 p.m. I have proof of posting. We do a roll call of the quorum.
Mike Wagner.
Here.
James Cartman.
Present.
Gary Demashki.
Here.
Cindy Byteam. Isaiah Crowe.
Here.
Mary Beth Schall. Here.
All right, so we'll do pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, it's Isaiah and Mike. All right, Mike,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Mary Beth,
Yes.
Isaiah.
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
What do you? Yes.
Yes as well.
All right.
I think that's a standard phrase I've heard. And also yes as well.
Approval for the Board of Education minutes from June 11th, 2018.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, so that,
Isaiah and Gary.
fine. Motion on the table, first and second. Mike,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Mary Beth,
Yes.
Isaiah.
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Is there any public input? Okay. Move on to board president. Well, I'd just like to say, you know, it was great for the girls soccer team to make the state.
Mhm.
We got to have the fire trucks and the police cars drive around town, and that was very encouraging. And the game was pretty close. It was just 1-0, so pretty happy. And all of our spring sports did really, really well. I went to the baseball regional final that was here in Black Earth, and all the parents, everybody were so excited, and it was nice. So. And that's all I have. So, Jordan?
Yep, I will, I'll let Scott jump in right away and be our leadoff hitter. So just if you recall, last year we talked about having kind of a biannual report from Scott and from Bill Sullivan, just kind of regarding IT and maintenance, and give you a chance to ask questions in case you're hearing things or seeing things. So I'll let Scott take it away and give us our IT update. So Scott, the floor is yours.
Okay, so some recent changes or improvements, back during spring break. Previously, our speed to internet for the whole district was 100 megabits per second. Now it's 1,000, so we have 10-fold increase. And it's at the same cost that we were previously paying a year or two ago at 100 meg speed. So that's kind of done through Teach. They kind of do discounted internet access for schools, and particularly libraries as well. Additionally, we've been putting in some more cameras around the high school, middle school here to cover some more of the blind spots in the hallways and kind of improve some of the areas where we had cameras, but they weren't, in one end of the hallway, we couldn't really see the other end of the hallway too well. As well, we added an additional camera to Black Earth to cover the front of the building by the road where the buses pull up. Previously, we had no visibility that direction, now we do. And additionally, we purchased a new backup system to back up all of our school data. And as well, that's now located at a different site. So as opposed to when we had previously, where we had everything in this building in the same rack, now we have our main servers here in the rack, and backup is stored basically at Black Earth in a rack there. So now we deliver fire, flood, whatever the case. It's not going to take everything at once. We have to send out notification as well. Future changes or improvements. We're going to have some student IT helpers. One's going to start this summer in July, and they'll kind of just help us do some projects here. And then for the school year, they'll actually be doing it as kind of a two-period class credit basically during the school year as well. So we're going to the idea is to have like one senior, one junior, to kind of keep that pattern going. And so that'll be kind of interesting, because that's kind of how I started off as well, at my high school. So it's fun to see that again.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is neat. Thank you.
We're going to be purchasing some additional Chromebooks. So we're going to have like 15 laptops purchased for staff checkout. Going to have 5 per building to start off with, to see how that goes. Kind of the idea of that would be if you're going to trainings, they can check out these devices that are just going to be available for staff checkout. So it gives them easy access to a device and not really hunt down a student card and pull the device off and everything like that. That way we'll have the charger readily available as well. We'll be having a card like our student ones are. I'm also going to buy additional carts for Ways and Means Elementary as well as the high school. That'll bring the total of the high school to 2 Chromebook carts. And I think at Mesa they have 1 or maybe 2 currently. They'll have either 2 or 3. Also going to replace some computers. There's still a handful of staff computers that are fairly old. We're going to replace those with more modern. As well, we're going to upgrade the high school business lab, middle school LMC, and the Blackbird LMC with some newer equipment, some new computers. Same thing with the smart board. We're going to try to get some of the older ones replaced. We had a lot of them that were bought at the same time, so we're trying to do one kind of cycle of like a few at a time kind of thing, or each building. So that way they're not all going to fail at the same time. Because for a while we had a number of them that were just dying left and right because they were all the same age and they were just all dying. So we're trying to avoid that, kind of get them on more of a rotation. As well, for next year, we're going to be deploying the IT data system. So that'll basically allow staff to just either email or go to the website and fill out a form, and then we'll basically add the request to a ticket system. And we can do things with that, like routing to the correct person, assigning priorities and that sort of thing, and kind of tracking what gets done, and we make sure everything gets done on a timely basis. There'll be some training with the probably for that as well, for the staff. And the last thing I have is we're working on Wi-Fi for the high school track and field. So part of our E-rate for this year is we kind of applied for that to help pay for one or two access points at the actual press box. We already have some like the Heart Zone fitness trackers, and that'll basically allow them to have that out there as well, and actually have it be live, on the network at the same time as opposed to having it report data offline. I think you migrate it that way, as well as people at a game that have access to Wi-Fi while they're there. So working on that yet. We had kind of picked out the system like we have currently here, but I was looking at the stats of what it could do, and I was thinking maybe it's not enough density for that kind of space. So looking at a different brand for that purpose, that kind of is designed for high density areas, which a lot of devices in the spot.
Trying to enhance the fan experience at football games, softball games. Any questions for Scott? I would just say to that list, on paper, it may not look like a lot, but logistically and practically it is a lot. So I want to thank Scott and Dan and then everyone involved. The principals were involved with the camera project and helping identify where those spots would be. I do believe our coverage is going to be greatly enhanced. As things usually go, when you have an issue, the 1 or 2 spots where you do have a black hole is where it took place. So I think we've reduced the possibilities to a great deal with that, but a lot of the other things around just our systems and making sure they run properly, and then the devices in the labs, Scott's done a good job of kind of getting a handle on where we're at and then making recommendations and sharing ideas with ways that we make sure that we're improving and we're kind of on the cutting edge with a lot of these things. So I want to thank him for his efforts with that. We had a good first year working together, and I know he's got a lot of great things ahead that he'd like to try to do. And the connection with the student IT helpers, that's something to look forward to seeing with the IT help desk ticket thing. So people fill out a request, and between Scott and Dan, they can work with those students and have some of those help desk tickets, depending on the severity, be filled by a student worker, which I think will be a cool opportunity for the kids and a good connection between them and the staff members, and perhaps most importantly, help them kind of get some real life skills and to see if that's an area that they want to pursue when they're older. Because when we interviewed them, which we did, it was pretty cool. The one gentleman he was all dressed up. I said, "Man, you're making me look bad today." Suit the whole 9 yards, I think. But they were very serious about it and very excited, and both said that that's what they want to pursue in their future. So it'll be a great 1 or 2 year opportunity for them to see if IT is really something they want to pursue. So a lot of good things going on with technology, and thanks to Scott for a lot of those things. So thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Any other questions or anything? All right, look at that. 10 minutes got you in and out, man. Feel free to take off.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you sticking around for us. Bill actually is unable to join us this evening. I believe there was mention of a significant birthday in his house, not his own, which is generally more significant than your own when it's your spouse. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, but I guess I would just say we've talked about some of this stuff in the past. Bill has done a fine job in my estimation of the coordination of just a variety of projects, particularly late in the year. So we've got some room renovations going on at Mazo right now, and Bill worked with multiple contractors on the abatement of the flooring, on the sheetrock, on the painting, on the flooring, and just a variety of things where he got multiple people that come in and bid on projects, and then we looked at the timeline and said who can commit to having it done on time. So he did a really good job with that. I've been going over to Mazo at least once a week and taking a walk around and checking out the upstairs, and there's a lot of progress, and willing, by the end of this week, pretty much all of that's going to be done. So we're going to have 4 renovated classrooms upstairs at Mazo to accommodate the 5th grade students upstairs at Mazo. So that's going to be nice, and he did a lot of work over there with that project. And then just if you looked at his list, just a lot of other, general maintenance things. He was a part of that camera project, the door project. If you have not made your way down to the original high school structure here, I'd say give it a week, because they're going to be done by the end of the week. But if you take a stroll down there, all new doors on the classrooms down there, really has sharpened up those hallways where we had some of those doors that were chipping and looked like they were 60 years old. The new ones look much nicer and are much cleaner. They painted door frames around them. So that's been a big improvement down on that end of the building. Plus the security, those have the inside locks as well. Just another feature that's important. The lighting, almost complete with that. They just have the stage side of the cafeteria to complete. If you haven't been in the gyms lately, they are much brighter, which is neat to see as well. They almost look like new spaces because they're so much brighter with those lights in there. A few things in the kitchen, just relative to an oven and a steamer that we got in there. But just all in all, Bill needs some kudos for his coordination of these projects at the end of the year, because we basically started chipping away at them in March, and we're going to have pretty much everything done here at the end of June, which for some pretty big ticket projects, he did a lot of coordinating and got in some people to get them done. So, and summer help has been going good, cleaning's going good, moving right along at Mazo. The first time I went over to Mazo, I I walked in by Dale and I said, it's hard to believe there was kids here a week ago. Every hall was just packed with furniture, and then upstairs it was, they had everything tarped off and they were abating upstairs, and it looked like full-on summer mode. And it was hard to believe that we had just had kids there 6 days earlier. So a lot of good stuff going on with maintenance as well. So I don't know if you have any questions that I may or may not be able to answer. But I really do think, like I said, that Bill has really stepped up with some of these projects and taken ownership out of them and done a great job. So you see him, make sure you thank him and give him a pat on the back. All right, I will turn it over to Rich and he can give his report.
Thanks. I'm just going to follow up to some of the earlier mentions of some quality things that happened in the spring. High school golf, one of our first state qualifiers in Neil Jurgens this year. I spoke with Dave Austin. I think it's the first time since 2011 or somewhere in that area. We did have another state qualifier, but very proud of what they did. Numbers are really low. You see we only have one freshman coming back next year, so hopefully they'll be able to get out and recruit some people. High school girls soccer, as mentioned, I know Jordan was there, Chris was able to make it. Unfortunately, I was not, but I kept up to speed by email and Twitter and all kinds of things. People were letting me know what was going on, but a great job by Tommy, Rachel, and Bartlett this year. I think they did an outstanding job. And just the way they managed them, and I think the most important thing, the thing I sent to them when they had lost was be proud of the fact that you have coached some wonderful young women. You've made them into better people, not just soccer players, because it goes beyond soccer. And when you watch them play, it's a classy bunch of people, and they're led by their coaches, and that means a lot to me. First time in program history as a state qualifier. The first time, or first team, second team, honorable mention players there. Again, the numbers there are going up considerably. You're going to see 4 people graduating. They're looking at 7 or 8 coming in, and they're going to maintain that probably right around the 30 to 32 players in the next couple of years. So I think what you're going to see for them is probably a JV program starting up here very quickly. This year we had 4. I think we had 5 scheduled. We played 4 because of rain out one night. But they did have 4 JV games. And unfortunately with that, you get a lot of the same girls who are playing in the varsity game, playing the JV game. Usually it's JV, then varsity. We flipped those, so varsity would play first. He had some of the younger varsity, or some of the freshmen, sophomores stick around and play. It's not going to happen, I think, in the next 2 to 3 years. You're going to see a quality staff JV team, and then you're going to have a quality varsity team. And so I look forward to watching and see what they do down the road. High school baseball, we've become accustomed to what they do, and they consistently do a good job. This year they lost, I believe there's 7 seniors they're losing. Quality young men. Clint, Zach, Paul, and Mitch all did a great job. I know James was there, we had talked after the game, but again, being regional champions, that sectional loss was a hard one to swallow. I was there watching that one. Came down that last inning and just fell apart for them. But again, they have a lot to be proud of. They got a couple kids coming back that can make an impact. I think 4 that got considerable playing time this year, but you're going to have the other 5 is very inexperienced. So it'll be fun to see what they do next year. And then softball, he only loses, or I shouldn't say he, Scott and Dennis only lose 2 seniors. And from their best guess, they've got about 5 girls coming in. So they should be around the 18, 19 mark next year. So again, numbers are going up. And part of that is, just the experiences that they're having in the youth. And I think that's helping tremendously. And they're winning at the varsity level, and that's helping. The biggest thing that the softball and soccer teams can do is they have the dual sport athletes come is keep working together to get those girls that want to do both or try both and let them pick their primary and then play the other one too, because it's going to help softball and it's going to help soccer. And you may get a few track kids who want to play softball. But again, they had a great year, 2nd place in the Capital Conference, regional champions. Again, that's 2 years in a row for them. Track and field, our own numbers were down again this year compared to what Barnabelle brought to the table. You see by seniors, they're losing. And just my best, real quickly adding up, there's 12 seniors graduating. I don't know if you'll have 12 freshmen coming in, but my hope is that you will have some numbers from the middle school come on up. But that's a lot of experience that's gone. So hopefully that will transfer into the high school. You'll get some of those juniors, which you only get about 4 coming back. That'll be seniors next year. So some leadership may have to come from some of the younger ones, but Brandon and Ivy did a great job. They were minus a coach. Every meet that I've seen them at, the ones I worked with them, they did a great job for only having 2 of them and really working their tails off. Their sectional qualifiers, there's quite a few of them there, state qualifiers, and I have to apologize to Christian because I thought I had it on there, but it got dropped, or it just accidentally got deleted. But Mariah finished 3rd in the 300 meter hurdles, and Christian, as a sophomore, got 11th place in the 3,200 meter run. So he wasn't surprised. He won the sectional, so to qualify for state as a sophomore. And that race, as a champion in sectionals, was a surprise to a lot of people. But he had a blast. I talked to his parents after state, and he's already working on what do I do next year. He's already been to the weight room. He's ready. He wants to get running, so that's impressive. Lacrosse, there's only 7 young men playing right now, but I think you're going to see that number go up again. So you'll see quite a few boys playing lacrosse. It doesn't pull. One of the things that people talk about is that sport pulls from baseball and all the other things. It doesn't. There may be a few track kids, but it doesn't pull from what we have as spring athletes. Those guys are separate. That's what they want to do, or they'd be doing nothing. So the 7 that you have there will probably grow to about 10 to 12 next year. Really good program going on, and this is the first year we hosted one. I don't know if any of you made it out this year, but we hosted a lacrosse match. It was actually a lot of fun. We were here for quite a few games, quite a few hours. They want to do it again next year, so put that on your radar to be able to host one at some point in the spring and let the Heights guys have kind of that moment of a home game again, because I think the parents enjoyed it and the Sauk people enjoyed letting the Heights guys kind of have a home game, even though it's Sauk lacrosse. The awards that I listed, conference, capital, player of the year, regional, sectional, state qualifiers, I listed those because it goes back to, for the last 4 years, the hard work the coaches have put in. And I've appreciated everything they've done. As much as, we've talked about Scott and Bill and all the accolades that go to those guys who are behind the scenes, and they do a great job helping us with things. Sometimes we forget about the coaches, and we forget about how many hours they put in and the things that they do. And I mentioned Bartlett and Rachel and Tommy, the influence they have over those young women, and they do a great job. But it's also volleyball, girls basketball, baseball. It's all the way down the line. And I think the biggest thing that I've come away from being at Heights with these coaches is that they want to learn and they communicate. We have weekly meetings with some. They do an outstanding job. So I hope at some point that even though we have a lot of accolades here for our players and teams, there are some times that those coaches do deserve a pat on the back that they don't get enough accolades from myself, from the staff, from the district. So I hope you take a minute just to thank them at some point because they deserve it. They work their tails off. And when we have players of the year, Capital Conference Player of the Year, and this year Bryce Stewart got it for baseball. He was co-player of the year. That just speaks volumes to what we've had. This 2 years in a row we've had a player of the year for baseball. So last year was Howard, and then this year it was Bryce Stewart. So again, it just goes to his performance, and then that comes back to what the coaches are doing and helping him become better. And then this year, on my last page here, or since over the last 4 years, we've had 9 boys records broken. We actually had 5 girls records broken up to this year. I think Mariah got 4 this year. She broke 4 more records from what I understood. So I'm trying to get that finalized before I leave, and just to get that up on the board, or at least get it to Terry so we can get that taken care of. Some of the biggest things that we as a group, and that includes all of you and some of those coaches that have been a part of it. I remember those hour-long debates in Asta turning that timer over and we spoke 11-man and 8-man football. That was a long debate, but at this point, I would say that the kids are happy and you're successful. And it was the right thing to do. It took a long time to get there, and we had to prove a lot of things to a lot of people just to convince people. But at the end, it's been the best thing that's happened for you guys. I think over the last 2 years, they were 7-2 the first year, 6-3, so 13-5 in 2 years. It's been a while since Heights has had that kind of record, especially in football. But I think what you're going to see in the South, you're going to see some more schools go into 8-man football. It's going to grow. Your away games aren't going to be 2.5, 3 hours. We're not going to go to, you won't be going to Phillips. You won't be going to those places within the next couple of years. You're going to see that it's going to grow closer to home. Unfortunately, and Jordan and I tried to, we were unsuccessful. We were petitioning to try to get this whole system, the playoff system, and just working with that, and right now it's not in place, but that would be my thing for the coaches and for you as a board, don't give up on that, because if it can happen, I think you can make it happen. I think these kids deserve to have that chance to play in the championship or the playoffs, because that's what you root for, that's what you go for. Then, the last couple of things that I thought were important things over the last 4 years is one of them has been that middle school handbook, and I saw it on the agenda tonight. That co-curricular handbook has been a big deal, and I think it's a huge step for you guys as a board to just putting some pieces in place for the middle school students, that it's just not a free ride, so to speak, that, there is some things that you have to be accountable for as a middle school student, which you're grooming them for the high school and that level. And I think that was a big thing last year. And I cannot go away from the district or my last admin for this meeting without saying that it's not all been purely athletics. If you look back, and something I've been a proud part of is the Cole Awards, and you all have been familiar because of the time that I've been here, and this has nothing to do with me. It's the quality of what's in this building. As you look at Dawn Schlitt, Kim Hauser, both won Cole Awards for their outstanding efforts in the classroom. Then you look at Dylan Helmenstein, he was a Cole Award winner, and then this year, Maddie Polacek. So over the last 4 years that I've been here, and I don't know what it was like before then, you've had some quality people really step up and do some quality things academically and athletically. So I want to make sure I mention those people. And I'm sure there are many, many others I missed, but I know that the custodians, Bill, all of them have been outstanding. So those are my accolades. And then you do have some open positions next year, and those came as part of the resignations that are there tonight. But just want to tell you thank you. There's a lot of good things that have happened here, and I think there's going to be a lot more happening. And I appreciate my time, and I wish you all the best. So, thanks.
Thanks, Rich.
Yep.
A couple quick things I just wanted to throw in there. We've talked, I had to chuckle as I drove up here tonight about my first board meeting last year. As a resident of Black Earth, Wisconsin, was the board meeting 1 year ago exactly this week. Not that I have a weird memory or anything, but I think I was more nervous for that meeting than I was for this one, even though I had to do nothing and just had to sit here. But that in itself was nerve-wracking a year ago. But I know we've talked a lot about co-curriculars and just in general a high school experience, and relative to co-curriculars, I think a common theme is participation and opportunities for students to be a part of something. And I did like what Rich talked about with our participation numbers, and the fact that many of our programs, those are going up and we're seeing more kids get involved. I wasn't here, but I can only imagine the conversations regarding the football thing. So, to have the courage as a board and as an administration to make that move when you did, even though there was probably some pretty intense feelings on both sides. There's never the perfect decision, but it was probably the right decision to try to build that program back and get numbers back and get kids participating and healthy. So I do want to just point out those things as well, and then I think the icing on the cake is the success. And you don't have to be that smart to look at the success we've had the last couple of years with conference championships, and for girls soccer to make it to state this year, and both softball and baseball to be in sectionals again. There are a lot of positive things going on, and sometimes we get so caught up in everything else that we can't focus on the positive stuff as much as we probably should. So that's important to bring up as well. And thank Rich for his contributions in that regard. In that position, it's all about just trying to be as organized as you possibly can, and let coaches coach, because that's what they want. They don't want to deal with all the headaches that come with being coaches, because there's a lot. So I do appreciate those contributions, Rich. And if it wouldn't have been for you doing a good job with that, it would be hard for me to believe that we just had this magical run of talent that we've never possessed before. Perhaps that's the case. But I know when I was in that role, I always said, well, it couldn't have just been that. There had to be other stuff going on. So thanks, Rich. I appreciate it. And wish you the best moving forward.
Thanks.
You've done a lot of good for a lot of people. Thank you. Good luck.
I am going to keep my little report here very, very short and sweet. Meetings, a couple big ones I want to touch on. Cheryl and I met with Becky Rowling, who is our food service director, who stepped in mid-year as our Tahoe employee, and then Lisa Carrero, who's the director for Tahoe of like this region. A good meeting. Becky did a lot of good things just from an organizational standpoint to kind of stabilize where we're at. It's not a perfect machine at this point, but it's a much improved machine. And part of the discussion that we had last year, based on past numbers, we were looking at budgeting for 17-18, so the year we're just finishing up, around $23,000 in the negative, because that's approximately where our transfer has been in the past. This year when we had our meeting, we agreed to a $13,000 number. So not exactly where we wanted, but as I said that day, a $10,000 improvement is a large improvement. I'll take it. If we can duplicate that again next year, then we'll just about be where we want to be, and that's zero. So I just wanted to share that. That was a good meeting. Becky is doing a good job as a hard worker, and I very much appreciate that, and she knows that. Mentioned my time over at Mazo. It's kind of fun to see the progress that goes on. We actually kind of have some of those little projects like that where you can see one day a room looks like this, and the next day you come in and you're like, whoa, what happened? But Dale and his staff did a good job as well, coordinating the end of the year. They actually condensed from 2 storage rooms to 1, which, I mean, that in itself is a minor miracle in a school system, so I don't know what Dale did to him. We'll let that remain a secret. But that I think has been fun to see, and I think it'll be nice to have those rooms be utilized upstairs, because sometimes when we walk around today, we just see these big classrooms, and quite frankly, there wasn't a whole lot going on in many of them. And then last Friday, Dale and I went to CISA 2 in Whitewater. At the end of the year, our staff got a survey. It was actually put on by UW-Milwaukee, but through the DPI, regarding educator effectiveness, so the teacher evaluation system in the state. And so long as you had at least 40% of your staff respond to the survey, you were then able to get your data from the study, which, not having been able to take it myself because I'm not a teacher, the questions and the responses we got were far more detailed and interesting than I ever would have imagined. I mean, a lot of things around employee satisfaction, quite frankly, and things like that. So Dale and I spent about 3.5 to 4 hours at CISA looking through. We had reports by building and then by district, and just kind of analyzing some of that information. I do believe some of that is going to play a part in basically in-service and staff development activities next year, and things we try to do as a district to make this a place where people want to be. So very interesting information, though. I had no idea that was what we were going to get out of that survey. It almost felt like there was way more to it than just evaluation. That seemed like just a fraction once we looked at it all. But thankful that our staff took the time to take the survey, because if they wouldn't have, we wouldn't have been able to get this data. And there were plenty of districts, I want to say 276, they said, in the state, met that 40% threshold. And there's over 400 districts in the state, so there was plenty that did not as well. Any questions on any of those items or any of the other meetings that I had listed? If not, then I'm good and we can move on.
All right, we'll move on to district business personnel. There was a recommendation to combine 5.1 to 5.5. So if someone wants a motion for that.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right, well, I just wait.
Thank you, Sue.
I was just gonna say thank you to Sue Dupre. It doesn't say in her resignation letter how many years she had been here, but does anybody know? Was at least?
I saw Ike today. I thought he said 3.
30
Is that right?
years.
Is that right?
29 or 30 were the numbers that are sticking out.
Closer to
for me.
30 than 25, that's for sure. I think she maybe just finished her 29, but it's.
29 is
Yeah.
ringing a bell for me.
Wow.
So I just want to say thank you to her, and it's pretty amazing to stay there and see all the kids go through the school while you're there, and pretty remarkable. All right, does anybody have any other discussion? Okay, Mike?
Yes.
Nobody, we didn't have a motion. Oh, who did it?
Sorry,
Oh,
Isaiah,
sorry.
it's okay, Isaiah and
Okay.
Mike,
Okay,
5-1 through 5-5.
yeah. Okay, good. Now-
Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
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 Gary, and I'll vote yes as well. Thanks. All right, so 5.6, action to approve the co-curricular appointments for the 2018-2019 school year.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Mary Beth for a second. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mike? Yes.
Yes. You have a problem saying
No,
my
Barb,
name?
yeah, okay. Mary Beth?
Yes.
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 Okay, and I'll vote yes as well. Okay, 5.7, action to approve Andrew Pickett as middle high school assistant principal and athletic director.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well.
5.8, 5.9
Yep. Recommendation is to combine 5.8 and 5.9.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. All right, so we're on to number 6, district business finance. 6.1, action to approve the 2018-2019 compensation for administrators.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. 6.2, action to approve the 2017-2018 budget revisions.
So moved. Second.
Mike and Gary, discussion?
Seems pretty.
Hearing none, Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. All right, let's keep these separate, guys. 7.1 says action to approve the middle school co-curricular code of conduct handbook.
So moved.
Second.
Isaiah and Mike, discussion?
Was this, Rich, the one that we were talking about with all the, or is this it's not the athletic code, is it?
Yep.
It is?
Yeah. There's nothing that, the only thing we did to this one was just change dates, and I
Okay.
don't know, Jordan, if you had made any changes to this one, but it's more just the dates, I think, of board policy.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed when I went through it is we had a reference to a board policy, which now was changed, so I went back and found the corresponding policy and then we both, other than that, I didn't see anything that stuck out to me, so.
And thanks for the work on this, Rich, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth? Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. 7.2, action to approve the high school co-curricular code of conduct handbook.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so it's Isaiah and Gary, discussion? Hearing none, Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth? Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. On to district business number 8, policies. 8.1, action to approve the 2018-2019 employee manual.
So moved.
Second.
Mike and Mary Beth? Any discussion?
You notice there's a document that goes with it that summarizes a few subtle changes. I would honestly say primarily editorial in nature for the handbook, so nothing that's gonna rock anyone's world with the handbook.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Okay, we're on to 8.2, action to approve the updated district policies.
So move.
Gary,
Second.
Mike? Any discussion? All right, well, I would just like to point out that what comes with this also, and no dogs on the property, Jordan and I talked about it, that after we vote tonight, that sign will get put up, because I know that there's someone that keeps asking about it, so that's what Jordan and I already agreed on, so.
Are they gonna put the signs down by the, are there gonna be a sign down by the, by where the, what do we call it?
Wolf Run?
Yeah, the Wolf Run comes into the district.
Yeah, you know, the enforcement of this is certainly going to be on enforcement, because even on weekdays, but on the weekend in particular, when I happen to stop up here on Saturday and Sunday, it's probably more often than not that I see dogs on our school grounds. I don't know how it came to be the way it's come to be, but, and I say this in all sincerity because it just strikes me like someone's out in the football field with their dog, someone's out in the softball field with their dog, just randomly on Saturdays and Sundays. Now, that's probably not our primary concern. I think the concern and the intent of this is when we have events and we have children and people with allergies and anxiety around pets and other things. I mean, I think that's the intent of this. But intent aside, if you have a policy and you have it posted, then you have to enforce it. It doesn't really matter what the intent was. Here's what we said the rule is. So I just want to put it out there. I won't be too surprised if we don't have a little bit of angst that comes with this for a while, because as it's become somewhat customary at this point, it's now going to have to be customary that that's not acceptable.
Is this getting reported to the school if you see it, or to James?
I would say to the school first. I mean, it's similar to me, like any situation we have here, I prefer to try to handle it at the lowest level possible. So whether it's me or, I mean, preferably not me right away, building principals, somebody try to deal with it. But yes, I'm guessing there will be a few times when we occasionally have someone that's not real happy that they're told they need to put their pet back in their vehicle or vacate the premises. But I do understand it, and this is not uncommon. I guess that's the other piece. If I felt like this was completely out of line and uncommon, I don't know that I would have just kind of passively let this happen. But having been in other places, this isn't uncommon to have a rule like this. So it just, enforcement's going to take a little getting used to.
Okay.
And then you saw the rest of the summaries with the policies.
Yep.
Just on any changes or additions or things like that. My directions from our Neola rep are emailing tomorrow, and they're gonna work with board docs and they'll archive the old and,
So long as Board Docs is working.
well, yes, so long, yes. If not, it'll be ready by August. But that's the plan, is I'll contact them tomorrow and they're gonna archive the old ones and they'll make our new policies live, which I'm looking forward to, because in the last month, there's been a few things that have come up and I'm like, well, let me look at the policy. Let me look at the new policy. When is it gonna happen? Because it matters, so that's the plan.
Well, and I just want to say thanks for all your work on it.
No kidding.
I mean, you spearheaded this whole thing and, contacting, I mean, it was your idea, and it is good to have them all updated, so.
I think if nothing else, the peace of mind that comes with knowing that you're in compliance with everything, that's a very good feeling for me. One less thing to just have that, oh no, feeling when something comes up. Plus then the legal updates that we'll get from here on out. So say something changes in July, I will get an email from Neola saying, policy 554 or whatever, there's been an update, and they'll send a draft policy. August board meeting, we'll approve it, and we'll update our policy. So that would be nice as well. So much is changing so quick. Trying to keep track of it all is tough. So thank you for your support. We wouldn't have been able to move in a year if you weren't very supportive of it, so.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Is there any committee dates or board meeting dates as needed? And maybe we can talk about you and I and the fact that we're gonna be tied up with this next one.
Kevin will be here on time for the next one.
Did you talk to Cindy
She
about
knows.
a different date? No, I know, but I
Oh.
mean, she was gonna look
Are you
at-
saying the 9th, or are you saying the 16th?
16.
The 16th is the one that we're gonna run into trouble for.
That's the future one, I think.
That's the-
Collaboration.
Yeah.
No, that's the,
The retreat.
yes,
Yeah.
retreat. Supposed to be late.
So the question
Well,
I
can
had
we
is,
just keep it with the admin and then do our retreat separately, or?
is everybody else able to be there on the 16th? Because in my conversation with James, and it'll be what it'll be, but if by some chance that is resolved or doesn't take as long as you thought it may, I guess if at least we know we have 5, I would hesitate because I know what everyone's calendar looks like, and I know how hard it was just to find that date to begin with. And I know the admin already have it on their calendar, including Scott and Liz, our incoming principals. I hate to say, let's pick a new date, and now suddenly we're back to scratch. So I think for now, let's keep it as the 16th. Let's hope the judicial system takes care of us all, and this is resolved before that night. And if it doesn't, well, then we'll do what we have to do, and we'll figure out the rest. So we had 4 o'clock for the board, and that was going to be approximately 2 to 3 hours. And then the admin was going to join us for some sort of recap on that discussion, and then next steps towards what is this gonna look like for all of us, you know, at a work level. So,
Just making sure I have 4 o'clock down at 6.
Yeah.
does that sound okay for everybody?
We can, I can do it right away.
I just think for now to try to find another.
I agree, summers are tough to get everybody.
At least we have it there.
We can always do something with the board after the fact to, you know,
Absolutely.
make sure to include you guys.
That's fine.
Divulge whatever.
Okay. But I think for now, let's plan to keep that where it is. Thank you. Anything else, any other ideas, or anything you think at this point we need to worry about relative to committees or any other?
What about that subcommittee that Barb was talking about? Does that need to happen? Maybe we can have with that?
Oh, ongoing.
It's ongoing, what is?
Wait, were you here with us? Yeah, oh, okay. I'm sorry, well, I don't know.
I wasn't on vacation.
I was, what do you?
Zane?
So we're looking to form, I guess a committee is like a term, but a group for just
Interior
basic
design committee.
cosmetic
Oh,
updates,
aesthetic type
yeah,
stuff, okay.
painting, that kind of stuff. Some of the
Okay.
staff members seem interested, so we're
Okay.
gonna kind of start
There.
there and look to see if anybody wants to do some summer,
Splash of color.
yeah.
So the dungeon bathrooms got brought up a lot, during like the future search and things leading up to that. I can tell you those bathrooms have new doors on them now, and that alone makes those I'm not exaggerating, just from the hallway, you walk by and you're like, looks like a normal room. The doors aren't splintered and grayed and whatever,
I think
so.
that's the point, is the smallest touch can really make it, you know,
Well, I thought right away, you know, relative to that girls' bathroom,
yeah.
where they did a little painting
Right,
and
yeah.
so that could be a 2-hour project to paint the boys' bathroom, and I guess if they, I don't think we can put axe in there, but put some brute, old English Stetson.
We'll leave that to you.
That way they won't steal it. So,
All right, well, if nobody has anything else, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Isaiah. Mike? Any discussion or anything else? Hearing none, Mike?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Rayba?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
thank you. 7:18.